This is the summary of Midnight Sun, summarized by Cellwave Audio and narrated by Bill. Disclaimer. This summary of Midnight Sun by Stephenie Meyer is created for educational purposes only. It aims to provide an overview of the book's key themes, ideas, and events. This is not a replacement for the original work, and readers are encouraged to explore Meyer's full book for the complete, detailed narrative and experience. All rights to the original work remain with the author and publisher. Introduction. Forks is a town that exists in quiet tension with itself, where rain-drenched streets and dense forests create a constant, muted backdrop to the ordinary lives of its residents. For Bella Swan, Forks represents a retreat from the brightness and chaos of Phoenix, a place where she hopes to find stability and perhaps anonymity. Yet, even in this seemingly calm environment, life has a way of revealing unexpected currents, of stirring forces beneath the surface that cannot be ignored. Every day carries the potential to unravel routine, and every encounter might carry significance far beyond what is immediately visible. From the moment Bella arrives, the town's rhythms and routines feel both familiar and foreign. The weather presses on her senses, dampening sounds, softening edges, and giving every movement a hushed quality. In these conditions, she begins to observe the people around her more closely, noticing subtle differences that might have gone unnoticed elsewhere. Among her new classmates, the Cullen family stands apart. Their elegance, poise, and controlled demeanor mark them as something apart from the ordinary, hinting at secrets hidden just beneath the surface of polite smiles and careful words. Edward Cullen, in particular, is a figure of contradictions. He is strikingly present, yet deliberately distant, attentive, yet guarded, warm in some moments and impossibly cold in others. Even his casual movements, the tilt of his head, or the way he carries himself communicated an unspoken vigilance. There is a constant tension between what is revealed and what is held back, and it is this tension that shapes the way he interacts with the world around him. His every glance at Bella carries both fascination and caution, a mixture of curiosity and restraint that is impossible for her to ignore. Beneath Edward's careful control lies a life defined by boundaries and restraint, where every desire must be measured against the consequences it might bring. He sees the world in heightened detail, noticing textures, scents, and movements with an intensity that is overwhelming, yet necessary. In Bella, he encounters a presence that challenges his careful equilibrium, awakening both fascination and fear. From the first day, an invisible current begins to flow between them, unseen yet undeniable. This is a story of attraction and restraint, of curiosity and caution, where moments of connection are charged with unspoken possibilities. Forks, in its constant rain and muted light, becomes the stage upon which desire, mystery, and danger intertwine, setting the tone for a relationship that will test the boundaries of patience, control, and understanding. The ordinary becomes extraordinary, and from the very beginning, both Bella and Edward are drawn toward something that neither fully comprehends, yet both cannot resist. Chapter 1. First Sight. Bella Swan arrives in Forks, a small town under constant drizzle and gray skies. Everything is slower and quieter than Phoenix, yet there is a tension in the air she cannot name. The forest seems to press close to the town, and even the streets feel heavier. Moving into her new life, she feels both hope and unease, sensing that something here is quietly different. Her first day at school is full of small surprises. Bella notices the students' quiet observation of one another, the way people avoid standing out, and the subtle distance in everyone's manner. She is aware that she herself is a newcomer, drawing attention even when she does not seek it. Among her new classmates, the Cullen family stands apart, graceful, poised, and calm, moving as if the ordinary rules of the school do not touch them. Edward Cullen catches Bella's attention immediately. There is a sharpness in his gaze, a careful measurement of everything around him. His presence is both magnetic and unsettling. Bella senses tension in him, a depth hidden behind his controlled exterior. Every glance and word carries weight, hinting at something he does not yet reveal. Even in casual moments, Bella notices contradictions in Edward's behavior. He can be polite and gentle, then suddenly distant and unreadable. She senses a hidden struggle within him, a life governed by rules and restraint she cannot understand. The more she observes, the more she is drawn to the mystery of him, feeling an invisible pull toward someone who is both fascinating and unknowable. By the end of the day, Bella is left with lingering questions. The curiosity Edward inspires is stronger than simple attraction. It hints at something profound. She realizes that her life in Forks will be far from ordinary, shaped by moments that challenge her expectations and by a boy whose presence quietly changes everything around him. Chapter 2. Open Book. Bella returns to school feeling unsettled by Edward's behavior in biology. His sudden withdrawal leaves her unsure how to act, and the space he leaves at his desk deepens her curiosity. Every day without him feels heavier, and she begins to notice how much his presence has already influenced her awareness of the room and the people around her. When Edward finally reappears, his demeanor has shifted. The hostility and distance she feared are gone, replaced by careful politeness that seems deliberate. Bella senses that he is hiding something, an effort to maintain control over his reactions. His calmness feels both inviting and cautious, as if every word and gesture is measured to protect both himself and her. Their first real conversation is awkward at first. Edward asks questions that seem ordinary, yet their precision makes Bella aware that he is trying to understand more than she says aloud. He observes her closely, noting details about her life, her reasons for moving to Forks, and her impressions of the town. Though his tone is gentle, it carries intensity that Bella finds both compelling and strange. As the conversation continues, Bella notices contradictions in Edward's behavior. At times, he is warm, even teasing, yet in the next moment, he retreats into silence, struggling with something beneath the surface. These shifts make Bella aware that Edward is keeping a secret, something larger than the surface of their interaction. The tension between what he reveals and what he hides captures her attention completely. By the end of the day, Bella is left with more questions than answers. Edward's contradictions confuse her, yet they also deepen her fascination. She begins to sense that life in Forks will be unpredictable, shaped by moments that challenge her understanding and by a boy whose presence quietly changes the rhythm of her days. Chapter 3. Phenomenon. Bella becomes increasingly aware of Edward's presence and the effect he has on her. His every movement and expression seems precise, deliberate, and unlike anyone she has met before. She notices how he reacts to the world around him with careful attention, and she cannot help but wonder what lies beneath his controlled exterior. The contrast between his calm demeanor and the intensity she senses inside him intrigues her. During their interactions, Edward's focus on Bella grows more apparent. He watches her closely, noticing small details about her posture, her gestures, and the way she responds to questions. Bella feels both observed and understood, a combination that makes her uneasy, yet strangely comforted. She begins to recognize that Edward's attention is unlike ordinary curiosity. It carries a depth that hints at understanding far beyond her own words. Bella also notices the tension in Edward's behavior. Moments of warmth and openness are quickly tempered by withdrawal and restraint. His reactions seem controlled, almost as if he is fighting against impulses she cannot see. This struggle adds a layer of mystery, and Bella senses that Edward's life operates under rules and boundaries that shape every interaction he has. Outside their personal interactions, Bella reflects on the Cullen family and their otherness. Their perfection, grace, and distance from other students emphasize how separate they are from ordinary life. Bella's fascination with Edward is reinforced by the subtle awareness that his family shares this same careful control, moving through the world with a quiet intensity that is impossible to ignore. By the end of the day, Bella's curiosity deepens into a mix of fascination and unease. Edward remains a puzzle she cannot solve, yet she feels drawn to him with a force that is difficult to resist. She begins to sense that her life in Forks will be shaped by the presence of someone whose complexity and restraint hint at experiences far beyond her own understanding. Chapter 4. Visions. Bella's awareness of Edward grows as she observes him more closely, noticing the way he reacts to situations that seem ordinary to everyone else. There is an intensity in his gaze, a focus that hints at an internal world she cannot access. Even brief interactions carry weight, and Bella becomes increasingly aware that Edward experiences life differently from anyone she has met. Edward's thoughts and actions are difficult for Bella to read. He seems constantly alert, measuring every movement, every word, as if anticipating events before they happen. Bella senses that he is struggling to maintain control, and that his calm exterior masks a tension she cannot fully understand. This makes her both curious and cautious, aware that proximity to him carries unspoken risks. Moments with Edward are charged with subtle contradictions. At times, he is attentive and kind, showing patience and consideration in ways that feel almost unnatural. In the next moment, he can withdraw into silence, creating a gap between them that Bella cannot bridge. She begins to realize that his behavior is guided by rules and restraints she does not yet comprehend. Outside her interactions with Edward, Bella reflects on the Cullen family and their quiet perfection. Their careful distance from others, their control over appearance and actions, and their shared sense of order create an atmosphere both alluring and intimidating. Bella's fascination with Edward grows alongside an awareness that his family operates by a code separate from the ordinary world. By the end of the day, Bella is left with questions that linger in her mind. Edward's intensity and restraint are impossible to ignore, shaping her perception of him and the town. She senses that Forks is no longer a simple place to settle into, but a stage for forces and connections she is only beginning to understand. The mystery of Edward and the quiet presence of his family signal that her life will be far from ordinary. Chapter 5. Invitations. Bella notices that Edward's presence seems to follow her even in small ways. His movements are deliberate, and his attention to detail makes ordinary moments feel charged with meaning. She begins to sense that he is not just observing her casually, but that he is deeply aware of her in ways that feel both thrilling and unsettling. Edward's behavior becomes more puzzling as he interacts with her. At times, he is courteous and attentive, asking questions that reveal careful thought and observation. At other moments, he retreats into silence, creating a tension that Bella cannot decipher. The mixture of warmth and distance leaves her intrigued and cautious, aware that he is not like anyone she has met before. The Cullen family continues to reinforce Edward's otherness. Their interactions are subtle yet precise, and Bella begins to notice the rules that govern their behavior. Their control over movement, expression, and attention creates an air of separation from the rest of the town, emphasizing the mysterious aura surrounding Edward. Small moments begin to carry larger meaning. Edward's attentiveness to Bella, the way he reacts to her presence, and the care he takes with his words all signal an unspoken connection. Bella finds herself drawn to him despite the unease she feels, sensing that the attraction is mutual, even if Edward's restraint hides it. By the end of the day, Bella is left with heightened curiosity and questions that cannot be answered. Edward's contradictions and careful control create a tension that is impossible to ignore. She begins to understand that her life in Forks is entering a new rhythm, guided by a boy whose presence both fascinates and challenges her understanding of the world around her. Chapter 6. Blood Type. Bella begins to notice the depth of Edward's control over himself. Every glance, every gesture, and even the smallest reaction seems measured and deliberate. She senses that beneath his calm exterior lies a constant struggle, a tension that guides his behavior and shapes every interaction with those around him. During their encounters, Edward's focus on Bella becomes more pronounced. He observes her closely, noticing details she does not even realize she is giving away. His attentiveness feels almost consuming, and Bella becomes aware that he is not simply curious. He is intensely aware of her presence and her movements. This awareness is both unsettling and captivating. Edward's restraint creates a subtle tension between them. At times, his warmth and politeness make Bella feel at ease, while moments of withdrawal remind her of the distance he maintains. These fluctuations reinforce her understanding that Edward lives by rules and boundaries she cannot yet see, and that he is constantly balancing desire with control. The Cullen family's behavior continues to illustrate Edward's unique world. Their careful composure, attention to detail, and quiet movements emphasize a life lived under discipline and restraint. Bella becomes more aware that Edward's identity is intertwined with this family code, and that his control is not only personal, but shared among those closest to him. By the end of the day, Bella's fascination deepens. Edward's contradictions, his restraint, and the subtle intensity he carries make him impossible to ignore. She senses that her time in Forks will be marked by encounters that challenge her perception and curiosity, drawing her toward a reality shaped by someone whose presence both intrigues and unsettles her. Chapter 7. Melody. Bella is struck by the rhythm of Edward's presence, the way his movements and attention seem to follow an unspoken pattern. Every small gesture carries meaning, and she senses that he is attuned to her in ways that go beyond ordinary observation. The subtlety of his focus both fascinates and unsettles her. Edward's behavior continues to shift between warmth and restraint. At times, he engages with Bella almost effortlessly, teasing or showing kindness. Yet moments later, he withdraws, creating a silent tension she cannot decipher. These fluctuations make her increasingly aware of the careful balance Edward maintains between closeness and distance. Observing the Cullen family more closely, Bella realizes their movements are deliberate and their attention to one another precise. The family's shared discipline and quiet composure reinforce the idea that Edward's world operates under rules that shape the way he interacts with her and others. Bella perceives a subtle melody in Edward's presence, a rhythm in his actions and reactions that hints at the struggle he carries within. This invisible cadence makes ordinary moments feel charged, and she becomes conscious of the ways he monitors and controls his instincts. The intensity behind his restraint grows clearer, even if the reasons remain hidden. By the end of the day, Bella feels her fascination growing alongside a quiet unease. Edward's presence continues to influence her perception of Forks, making the town feel both ordinary and extraordinary. She realizes that her life is shifting, drawn into a reality guided by someone whose complexity challenges her understanding of the world around her. Chapter 8. Ghost. Bella feels a lingering presence around Edward, as if his awareness of her follows her, even when they are apart. She senses that he is observing more than he lets on, and the idea of his attention unsettles her, while simultaneously drawing her in. Every interaction now carries a subtle tension, making ordinary moments feel charged with meaning. During their encounters, Edward's restraint becomes more evident. He speaks and moves with careful precision, as though calculating each action to avoid revealing too much. Bella notices the effort he puts into controlling himself, the invisible boundary he maintains between desire and discipline. The struggle within him is almost tangible, shaping the way he responds to her. Watching the Cullen family in the background, Bella perceives their quiet cohesion and shared discipline. Their movements are deliberate, their expressions measured, and their presence underscores the rules that govern Edward's world. It becomes clear that his behavior is shaped not only by personal control, but also by the expectations and order of his family. Bella senses that Edward's focus on her is constant, even when he is silent or distant. His intensity makes every glance, every gesture, and every pause feel significant. The careful attention he pays to her, coupled with his moments of withdrawal, creates a mix of intrigue and caution that Bella cannot ignore. By the end of the day, Bella feels the weight of Edward's presence lingering in her mind. The subtle pull between fascination and unease grows stronger, leaving her aware that Forks is no longer an ordinary town, and that her life is increasingly entwined with someone whose restraint, complexity, and hidden depths influence everything around her. Chapter 9. Port Angeles. Bella travels to Port Angeles with her father, struck by the contrast between the town's open, bright streets and the muted, rainy landscape of Forks. The drive provides quiet moments for reflection, allowing her to consider the changes that have shaped her life since moving. She observes small details in the shops, the people, and the flow of activity, and senses how different this place feels from the slow rhythm of her new home. Thoughts of Edward linger, shaping her perception of the trip. She recalls his intensity, the careful precision in his movements, and the tension in his presence. Even in his absence, the memory of him influences her awareness, making ordinary moments feel charged and meaningful. As Bella walks through the streets and interacts with the town's routines, she feels a new understanding of her fascination with Edward. Simple sights and sounds highlight the contrast between ordinary life and the unusual depth she associates with him. His presence, even when distant, seems to echo in her awareness of the world around her. The questions he inspires weigh on her mind. Edward's restraint, the subtle intensity in his behavior, and the way he engages with the world leave her unsettled, yet curious. She becomes more aware that he is unlike anyone she has ever encountered, and that his complexity cannot be overlooked. Eventually, a quiet reflection settles over Bella. Port Angeles offers a temporary distraction from her life in Forks, yet her thoughts remain drawn to Edward and the unusual world he represents. She senses that her experiences in Forks are becoming more complicated, guided by someone whose presence is transforming her understanding of what is ordinary and what is extraordinary. Chapter 10. Theory. Edward is struck by how ordinary life continues around him while he wrestles with his own unusual instincts. Every sound, movement, and detail in the classroom is magnified by his heightened senses. He feels a constant pull toward someone who awakens emotions he struggles to control. And every interaction is filtered through his awareness of the danger he represents. He studies her quietly, noting every subtle gesture, tone of voice, and shift in expression. Each detail is amplified in his mind, and he struggles to maintain composure while processing the intensity of his own reactions. The precision of his observations contrasts with the chaos of his emotions, creating a tension he cannot ignore. At times, Edward allows himself brief moments of engagement, responding with measured warmth or teasing, but he quickly withdraws to protect both himself and the one who unknowingly captivates him. The effort to maintain restraint is exhausting, yet necessary, and every movement he makes is calculated to avoid revealing too much. The constant presence of his family reinforces his sense of discipline. Their quiet control and shared understanding of boundaries remind him that his actions are never entirely his own. The rules they live by govern every choice he makes. From the way he moves through the world to the way he reacts to the one who stirs his instincts. Eventually, Edward feels the weight of his own awareness pressing in. The ordinary environment feels charged with meaning. Each glance and gesture a reminder of the struggle within him. His fascination and restraint are intertwined, shaping his perception of the world and hinting at the complexities that lie ahead. Chapter 11. Interrogations. Edward feels a mix of curiosity and caution as he navigates interactions at school. Every word, gesture, and glance is carefully measured, both in himself and in those around him. He senses the challenge of engaging with Bella without revealing the intensity of his feelings or the struggle he constantly manages. During conversations, he studies subtle cues, tone of voice, posture, and fleeting expressions. His heightened senses amplify every detail, making ordinary moments feel charged with significance. He observes Bella closely, noting her reactions, the slight shifts in her expression, and the rhythm of her speech, all of which occupy his thoughts even as he fights to remain composed. Edward allows brief moments of warmth or engagement, teasing gently or responding attentively, but he retreats quickly when restraint becomes necessary. The constant effort to balance desire, curiosity, and self-control weighs heavily on him, and he remains aware that a single lapse could have serious consequences. The presence of the Cullen family reinforces the rules he follows. Their calm, disciplined behavior reminds him that his actions are guided by more than personal impulse. Every decision, glance, and movement is shaped by the understanding and expectations of the family, influencing how he interacts with Bella and the world around him. As the hours pass, Edward's awareness sharpens. Each interaction with Bella, each subtle observation, feels meaningful and intense. He is caught between fascination and caution, aware that every choice, every measured movement, shapes both his understanding of her and the delicate connection forming between them. Chapter 12. Complications. Edward feels the tension of conflicting emotions, struggling to balance fascination and restraint. Every encounter with Bella pulls at him, and the effort to maintain control over his instincts demands constant attention. The weight of his awareness makes ordinary moments feel charged and intense. He senses the subtle shifts in Bella's expressions and posture, the way her curiosity and hesitation mingle. Each gesture speaks volumes, stirring both desire and caution within him. Her presence dominates his thoughts, forcing him to weigh every reaction carefully to prevent revealing too much. The calm, disciplined presence of the Cullen family serves as a constant reminder of the boundaries he must observe. Their measured movements and quiet control reinforce the rules guiding his behavior, shaping how he interacts with Bella and the world around him. Moments of warmth and engagement with Bella are always tempered by careful withdrawal. Her openness and occasional hesitation make the connection between them fragile yet compelling. Edward is aware that the choices he makes, even small ones, carry weight and could alter the delicate balance they share. As hours pass, he reflects on the delicate interplay of attraction and restraint. His thoughts circle her, the tension of their proximity, and the need for control. Every glance, gesture, and interaction is a reminder of the complexities he must navigate, drawing him closer while demanding constant vigilance. Chapter 13. Another complication. Edward feels the tension growing between desire and restraint. Each interaction with Bella intensifies his internal struggle, making it harder to suppress the instincts he has spent years controlling. The awareness of her presence constantly occupies his mind, amplifying every emotion and every decision he must make. He becomes acutely aware of the subtle signals she gives, her tone, her pauses, the way she moves around him. These small cues stir both fascination and caution, reminding him that any misstep could reveal more than he intends. The complexity of his feelings deepens with each observation, and he struggles to maintain composure. The influence of the Cullen family remains a guiding force. Their quiet discipline and careful coordination reinforce the rules that govern his behavior. Edward recognizes that his choices are not only personal, they are shaped by the expectations and vigilance of those closest to him. As moments pass, he reflects on the fragile balance they share. Her reactions and his own restraint create a rhythm of tension and attraction, where curiosity and caution constantly intersect. Each gesture, each glance, becomes more meaningful, and Edward feels the pull of both connection and danger. By the evening, the complications of his feelings settle into a heightened awareness. Edward is drawn to Bella in ways he cannot ignore, yet every instinct demands vigilance. The interplay of fascination, restraint, and the unknown guides his actions, shaping the delicate dynamic that defines their growing bond. Chapter 14. Closer. Edward feels a magnetic pull toward Bella as they spend more time together at school and around the Cullen family. He is acutely aware of her presence, the way she shifts in her seat, her voice, and even the subtle scent that reaches him. The intensity of his focus is difficult to control, and he struggles to maintain the restraint that has guided him for years. During a brief conversation in the library, Edward notices the small ways she reacts to his questions. Her curiosity is clear, but there is also hesitation, and he senses her trying to understand him without knowing the full truth. He measures every word he speaks, aware that revealing too much could put her at risk. Outside the library, he observes her interacting with friends, noting how different she is from the other students. She moves naturally, unaware of the danger she presents to him, and Edward feels both awe and anxiety. The balance between his desire to be near her and the need for control creates an almost unbearable tension. Later, while walking through the halls, Edward experiences a moment of near instinctual reaction when Bella comes too close. He suppresses a powerful urge, forcing himself to step back and maintain composure. The effort reminds him that every interaction carries weight, and his restraint is essential for both their safety. As the day progresses, Edward reflects on the closeness they are developing. The magnetic pull he feels is undeniable, but he knows the boundaries must remain. Each glance, conversation, and shared moment increases his fascination, yet he remains painfully aware of the delicate balance between connection and danger that defines their relationship. Chapter 15. Probability. He senses a growing tension as he and Bella navigate the ordinary routines of school. Even simple interactions, passing in the hallway, sitting in class, are magnified by his heightened awareness. Every choice feels crucial, as though a single misstep could reveal too much about his true nature. During lunch, the vampire observes Bella. Her movements, expressions, and quiet interactions with friends reveal both curiosity and trust, though she does not yet understand the danger she presents. He feels the pull to connect more openly, yet restraint dominates his every action. Later, the young man considers the patterns in their interactions. The moments of laughter, hesitation, and conversation form a rhythm he finds both captivating and alarming. His fascination grows beyond observation. It has become an intricate awareness of her presence and the subtle influence she has over him. He also contemplates the complications that arise from his attention to her. Each time he allows himself to linger nearby or respond warmly, he risks exposing feelings that could compromise his control. Calculations of probability, the chance of reacting too strongly or revealing too much, occupy his mind, reminding him of the delicate balance their interactions require. As the day continues, he reflects on the careful equilibrium he must maintain. The combination of attraction, instinct, and caution shapes every movement, glance, and word. The magnetic pull toward Bella is undeniable, yet he must navigate it with precision, mindful that the fragile connection between them could be disrupted at any moment. Chapter 16. The Knot. The vampire feels an unrelenting pull toward Bella, an intensity that makes ordinary moments feel charged. Every glance and movement is amplified in his mind, and he struggles to maintain the restraint that keeps his instincts in check. The presence of someone so captivating creates a tension he cannot ignore. He observes her, noting subtle expressions and gestures that reveal curiosity and a growing trust. Each interaction is measured, and he must constantly balance his fascination with the need for control. The awareness of the danger he represents heightens his vigilance, making every word and action deliberate. The young man reflects on the patterns emerging between them. Laughter, hesitation, and conversation form a rhythm that both draws him in and reminds him of the delicate balance he must maintain. His attention is unyielding, yet he resists allowing his impulses to dominate, aware that a single misstep could have serious consequences. Family presence continues to shape his behavior. The Cullens' calm and disciplined demeanor serves as a reminder that every choice they make is influenced by shared understanding and caution. Their silent guidance ensures that he navigates interactions carefully, preserving the fragile bond developing with Bella. As moments pass, he contemplates the knot of desire, restraint, and growing connection that binds him to her. Every gesture, glance, and thought is charged with meaning. He senses the magnetic pull intensifying, but understands that careful vigilance is essential to maintain the fragile equilibrium between fascination and control. Chapter 17. Confessions. Edward struggles with the urge to reveal the truth to Bella. Walking beside her in the quiet of Forks, he feels the pull to speak, but every instinct warns him of the danger. His thoughts race as he weighs the risk of showing too much of himself against the growing connection between them. During their conversation, Bella asks questions about his past and his family. Edward answers carefully, revealing fragments without giving away the secret of his nature. He notices the subtle curiosity in her eyes and senses her trust, which makes restraint even harder to maintain. Every word must be measured, every pause intentional. At one point, they walk near the forest, and Edward's senses detect the potential danger lurking nearby. The sharp awareness of both his instincts and her vulnerability reminds him why secrecy is essential. He fights the urge to act impulsively, keeping a careful distance while staying fully alert to her safety. The interaction turns more personal as Edward allows himself small glimpses of emotion, teasing remarks, faint smiles, and attentive gestures. Bella responds with quiet laughter and cautious interest, deepening the unspoken bond. Each moment is layered with meaning, and Edward realizes that every step closer carries both fascination and risk. As they part ways later, Edward reflects on the balance he must maintain. The desire to be open conflicts with the necessity of control, and he understands that the delicate tension between them will define what comes next. Every glance, every word, and every movement has consequences, and he feels the weight of the confessions left unsaid. Chapter 18. Mind over Matter. Edward walks through the halls of Forks High, aware of every sound, every movement. His focus is divided between maintaining composure and watching Bella from a distance, tracking her interactions without drawing attention. The effort to control his instincts is constant, and each passing moment tests his discipline. During class, Bella asks a question that catches him off guard. Her curiosity is innocent, but it brings an almost instinctual reaction to the surface. He suppresses the urge to respond too intensely, carefully crafting his answer to remain measured while still engaging her interest. The challenge of balancing intellect, restraint, and attraction occupies his mind completely. Later, in the cafeteria, Edward senses her laughter from across the room. The sound is light and familiar, yet it amplifies the tension he feels. He calculates how close he can approach without revealing his nature, weighing every movement, glance, and step as if each were part of an intricate plan. Walking home after school, Edward reflects on the mental discipline required to keep his instincts in check. Thoughts of her occupy him constantly, and he realizes that controlling his reactions is as exhausting as it is necessary. The effort to maintain a calm exterior while navigating attraction and danger is unrelenting. By the evening, he understands that mind over matter is more than a concept. It is survival. Each glance, interaction, and choice shapes the fragile connection growing between them. Edward knows that the careful balance of restraint and presence will define the next steps of their relationship, and he steels himself for the challenges ahead. Chapter 19. Home. Edward arrives at Bella's house with a mix of anticipation and caution. Every sound inside, the creak of the floorboards, the shuffle of footsteps, heightens his awareness. His senses are alert to her presence, and he moves with deliberate care to avoid startling her. Inside, he observes the routines of her household. Her father reading the newspaper, small domestic sounds, and the way Bella navigates the space. Each detail reminds him of the fragility of her world and the responsibility he carries to protect it. The contrast between her ordinary life and his own unusual nature is never more apparent. Bella greets him warmly, her casual trust both comforting and dangerous. Edward senses her curiosity, and the desire to connect clashes with the constant need for restraint. He chooses his words carefully, speaking just enough to engage her while keeping the truth of his identity hidden. During their time together, Edward reflects on the risks involved in drawing closer. Every gesture, every glance, and every shared moment is charged with meaning. He feels the growing bond, aware that one wrong move could disrupt the delicate balance he has maintained. As he leaves later, Edward is conscious of the pull that Bella exerts over him. Her home, her presence, and the normalcy she represents contrast sharply with his instincts and self-control. The tension between desire and caution remains, and he knows that the careful navigation of their connection will continue to define every encounter. Chapter 20. Carlyle. Edward arrives at Carlyle's office, his mind racing with a mix of curiosity and caution. Every step is measured, his heightened senses alert to the subtle shifts in the environment. The calm presence of his father immediately brings a sense of grounding, yet he remains aware of the weight of the conversation ahead. Inside, Carlyle greets him with quiet warmth, asking about recent events and observations. Edward answers carefully, revealing enough to satisfy curiosity without exposing the inner turmoil he feels regarding Bella. The discussion forces him to confront his own instincts and the delicate balance between fascination and restraint. During the conversation, Edward reflects on the lessons Carlyle has instilled over the years: discipline, patience, and the necessity of control. These principles guide him as he considers his interactions with Bella, the risks involved, and the moral responsibilities he carries. He recognizes that his father's guidance is both a shield and a compass in navigating his complex emotions. As Carlyle speaks about family matters and the need for vigilance, Edward realizes the extent to which his actions are observed and shaped by those around him. The sense of accountability reinforces the careful measures he must take to protect both himself and Bella, reminding him that restraint is not only personal, but communal. After leaving the office, Edward is lost in thought, reflecting on the responsibilities that come with his nature. The guidance from Carlyle strengthens his resolve to navigate the growing connection with Bella safely, balancing desire, caution, and moral obligation as he continues to tread the line between fascination and danger. Chapter 21. The Game. Edward moves through the school halls with heightened awareness, observing the subtle interactions around him. The usual patterns of student behavior are now filtered through his intense focus on Bella, making each glance, whisper, and movement carry unexpected significance. The tension between ordinary life and his instincts remains a constant challenge. During a casual conversation in the cafeteria, Edward engages with Bella while maintaining careful restraint. He responds to her questions with precision, balancing genuine curiosity with the necessity of hiding the truth of his nature. Each smile, laugh, and gesture is calculated to deepen connection without compromising safety. Later, as they participate in a friendly game with classmates, Edward feels the pull of instinct and control in equal measure. The playful environment masks the internal struggle he experiences. Every action could reveal more than he intends, yet he cannot completely detach from the shared moment. The interplay between engagement and restraint tests his discipline. The vampire's observations extend beyond Bella to those around them. He notes the ease with which others move and interact, contrasting sharply with the careful measures he must take. This awareness reinforces the isolation he feels, the distance between his world and theirs, and the stakes involved in navigating any form of intimacy. By the end of the afternoon, Edward reflects on the delicate balance of connection and caution. The game, seemingly innocent, has become a test of control, patience, and understanding. Each choice, glance, and gesture shapes the growing dynamic with Bella, reminding him that fascination and danger are intertwined in every interaction. Chapter 22. The Hunt. Edward senses the tension as he follows Bella through the streets of Forks. Every sound, the crunch of leaves beneath her feet, the faint rustle of distant movement, is magnified by his heightened senses. The instinct to protect her competes with the urge to observe, making each step deliberate and controlled. He watches her carefully, noting subtle shifts in posture, hesitation in movement, and the moments she pauses to take in her surroundings. These observations sharpen his awareness of potential danger, reminding him how vulnerable she is despite her curiosity and resilience. Every instinct within him is on alert. During the outing, Edward encounters situations that test his control. A sudden movement nearby prompts an almost instinctual reaction, forcing him to pull back and suppress the impulses that threaten to reveal too much. The effort to maintain composure while remaining close to Bella is exhausting yet necessary. He also reflects on the growing complexity of their connection. Each moment of shared attention, laughter, or conversation is layered with significance, and he understands that his restraint shapes the trajectory of their relationship. The risk inherent in proximity is constant, and he balances fascination with caution at every turn. As they return home, Edward contemplates the lessons of the day. The hunt, both literal and metaphorical, has reinforced the delicate balance of desire, vigilance, and protection. He knows that every interaction, every step, and every glance will continue to test his discipline while deepening the unspoken bond between them. Chapter 23. Goodbyes. Edward feels the weight of parting as he and Bella prepare to separate for the evening. Every movement, glance, and word carries unspoken meaning, and he struggles to maintain his usual composure. The magnetic pull toward her makes even a brief farewell difficult to navigate. During their final moments together, he studies her expressions and tone of voice. Her curiosity, warmth, and subtle hesitation create a complex mix of fascination and caution within him. Each gesture she makes is carefully catalogued in his mind as he contemplates the consequences of every interaction. Edward's instincts are on high alert, even in this quiet moment. The desire to linger, to reveal more of himself, and to protect her competes with the necessity of restraint. He forces himself to step back, aware that any lapse could compromise both her safety and the careful balance they share. The young man reflects on the tension that has defined their growing connection. Their bond, fragile yet undeniable, is shaped by restraint, observation, and the silent understanding between them. Even a simple goodbye carries significance, reinforcing both his fascination and his vigilance. As he departs, Edward remains acutely aware of the lingering pull between them. Every glance, every thought, and every unspoken word strengthens the unspoken bond, reminding him that fascination and danger are inseparable. The careful navigation of their connection will continue to define their interactions in the days to come. Chapter 24. Ambush. Edward senses an immediate tension as he moves through the forest near Forks. Every sound, the snap of a branch, the rustle of leaves is amplified in his heightened awareness. His instincts warn him that danger is near, and he positions himself carefully, ready to respond. He spots the source of the disturbance ahead and calculates his next steps with precision. Bella's safety dominates his thoughts, and he keeps a careful distance while observing her reactions. The urgency of the moment sharpens his focus, blending his fascination with vigilance. During the encounter, Edward suppresses powerful impulses, resisting the instinct to act impulsively. Each movement is deliberate. Every glance and gesture is measured to protect her without revealing too much of himself. The tension between control and instinct is intense, and he must navigate it perfectly to maintain both safety and composure. The confrontation also forces Edward to consider the growing risks of his closeness with Bella. Every interaction, every shared moment, increases the stakes. The balance between connection and danger becomes more apparent, reinforcing the necessity of discipline and careful observation. As the moment passes and the immediate threat fades, Edward reflects on the experience. His protective instincts remain heightened, and he understands that vigilance will always be required. The forest, the danger, and the unspoken connection with Bella remind him that every choice carries consequences, shaping the delicate bond between them. Chapter 25. Race. Edward feels a surge of anticipation as he prepares to test his speed against others in the forest. His heightened senses make every detail the scent of damp earth, the sound of distant trees intensely vivid. The thrill of the challenge is tempered by his constant awareness of Bella, even when she is not present. As he takes his position, he measures the terrain and calculates each movement with precision. Every instinct within him is finely tuned, balancing strength, speed, and control. The race becomes a test not only of skill, but of discipline, as he ensures that nothing in his excitement threatens to expose his true nature. During the run, Edward notices the subtle patterns of the other participants. Their movements, fatigue, and strategies are all noted with sharp focus. The comparison reinforces both his superiority and the careful restraint he must maintain, reminding him that his abilities set him apart from everyone else. The exhilaration of the race is intertwined with reflection on Bella. Thoughts of her linger even as he pushes himself to the limit, a reminder of the connection that guides his restraint. Every stride is measured, not only for speed, but for control, ensuring that fascination never overrides discipline. As the race concludes, Edward slows deliberately, allowing his awareness to settle. The victory, though satisfying, is secondary to the constant vigilance he must maintain. The event reinforces his understanding of the delicate balance between his extraordinary abilities, his fascination with Bella, and the responsibility that guides every action. Chapter 26. Blood. Edward is acutely aware of the scent that reaches him as he walks through Forks. The sharp, compelling aroma triggers his instincts, forcing him to focus on self-control. Every step is deliberate, and he constantly measures his reactions to prevent his impulses from overwhelming him. He observes the source, noting every detail that could indicate danger. His mind races with calculations of how close he can approach, what movements are safe, and how to maintain composure. The pull of instinct is strong, yet he manages to suppress it with disciplined control. During the encounter, Edward balances fascination and caution. He studies the reactions of those around him, understanding that any sudden move could expose his true nature. Each moment requires precise judgment, and the tension of restraint weighs heavily on him. The experience reminds him of the risks inherent in his life. His abilities set him apart, and the lure of the scent is a constant challenge to both desire and discipline. Every interaction, even indirect, tests his self-control and awareness. As the situation resolves, Edward reflects on the lesson it offers. The pull of instinct is unrelenting, but the careful management of it is what keeps both himself and those around him safe. The encounter reinforces the need for vigilance, patience, and restraint in every moment of his life. Chapter 27. Chores. Edward moves through the Cullen house quietly, attending to the small tasks his family has assigned. He cleans and organizes with precision, each movement measured, his heightened senses noticing the faintest sounds and shifts around him. The chores are ordinary, yet his awareness makes them feel amplified, and he remains conscious of the tension simmering beneath his calm exterior. As he works, Bella arrives to help with one of the tasks. Their interactions are brief, but loaded with unspoken meaning. Edward guides her gently, correcting small mistakes, while maintaining an outward composure that hides the pull of instinct. Every gesture is calculated. The slightest lapse could reveal more than he intends. During the chores, he observes her attentiveness and occasional hesitations. Each subtle expression and movement reinforces the fragile balance of trust between them. Edward reflects on how ordinary moments like this carry weight, shaping the growing connection while testing his ability to remain restrained. Unexpectedly, a minor accident occurs. A spilled dish startles him, and his reflexes kick in instinctively. He recovers smoothly, concealing the surge of instinctive reaction and ensuring that Bella remains unaware of the danger she narrowly skirted. The incident serves as a sharp reminder of the constant vigilance required to protect her. By the time the chores are finished, Edward feels the mixture of satisfaction and tension that marks every interaction with Bella. Even simple tasks are layered with stakes, as every glance, word, and movement has the potential to deepen their bond or reveal too much. He leaves the room quietly, aware that the balance he maintains will continue to define their relationship. Chapter 28. 3 Conversations. Edward spends the day involved in 3 separate conversations with Bella, each one pulling at him in different ways. The first happens in the hallway between classes. Bella asks him about a school project, and he answers carefully, trying to sound casual while keeping his real thoughts and abilities hidden. He notices the way she leans slightly forward, listening closely, and he is struck by her natural curiosity. Her focus makes him want to reveal more, but he holds back, knowing the risk. The second conversation takes place in the cafeteria while Bella is sitting with her friends. Edward stays close enough to hear her voice, noticing the way she laughs and the small expressions that flash across her face. He joins the conversation lightly, adding small comments and teasing remarks. He keeps his tone calm and measured, aware that showing too much excitement or too strong a reaction could alarm her. Even a simple laugh or gesture must be controlled, and Edward feels the constant tension between wanting to act freely and the need to remain careful. The third conversation happens outside later in the afternoon, during a short walk home. They talk more personally this time, about things like school, hobbies, and small details of their everyday lives. Edward listens intently, drawn to her honesty and openness. He thinks about how ordinary her life seems compared to his, and how much he wants to protect it without interfering. At the same time, he struggles to keep his emotions in check, aware that every word or glance could reveal his dangerous nature. During all 3 conversations, Edward's senses are on high alert. He notices tiny movements, shifts in her expression, and the way her tone changes with each thought. These details give him insight into her personality and feelings, but they also remind him how easily things could go wrong if he acts impulsively. He feels the pull of fascination and care simultaneously, realizing that these small interactions are shaping a bond that is growing stronger with every passing moment. By the end of the day, Edward reflects on how important these conversations have been. Each one has tested his patience and self-control while bringing him closer to Bella. He feels the growing connection, but he also knows that maintaining careful control is essential to keep her safe. Every word spoken, every small gesture, and every look exchanged has consequences, and Edward understands that their relationship, though quiet and cautious, is becoming more significant with each interaction. Chapter 29. Inevitability. Edward begins the day with a heavy sense of anticipation. Every thought, every sound, and every movement around him feels charged, as if the world itself is pointing toward the moment he cannot avoid. He knows that the connection with Bella has reached a turning point, something that can no longer be contained by silence or restraint. The sense of inevitability hangs over him like a weight he cannot ignore. He first encounters Bella at school, and even in these familiar surroundings, the pull between them is undeniable. She talks to him casually, yet he senses the unspoken questions in her eyes and the quiet interest in her tone. Edward listens carefully, choosing his words with precision, aware that each sentence carries meaning beyond the surface. The ordinary setting feels heightened, as if every glance or pause could shift the delicate balance of their relationship. Later, as they walk together outside, the tension grows. Edward notices the rhythm of her steps, the way she occasionally glances at him, and the small gestures that reveal her comfort and curiosity. He feels a mixture of fascination, desire, and fear. The fear of losing control, the danger of revealing too much, and the undeniable pull toward her. Every instinct is telling him to be cautious, but every thought reminds him that the bond between them has grown too strong to ignore. During their time together, Edward reflects on the events that led to this moment. He recalls the first meetings, the careful conversations, the small acts of trust, and the fleeting glimpses of connection. Each memory reinforces the sense that this moment was always going to happen, that their relationship is inevitable despite the risks. He understands that what they feel is larger than choice. It is a force that cannot be stopped, only managed. As the day draws to a close, Edward experiences a mixture of relief and tension. He knows that what is about to unfold cannot be undone, and yet there is hope in the connection they have built. The unspoken feelings, the cautious steps, and the moments of shared understanding all converge into a point where restraint can no longer hold. He feels the weight of responsibility, the pull of desire, and the certainty that this bond will shape everything to come. By the end of the chapter, Edward accepts the inevitability of their connection. Every glance, every conversation, and every thought has led to this point. He understands that their relationship is both fragile and powerful, filled with risk, but also with promise. The chapter closes with Edward fully aware of the bond that links them, the challenges that lie ahead, and the undeniable truth that some connections cannot be ignored or delayed. They simply are. Conclusion: an occasion. Edward reflects on the months that have passed, remembering the first days he met Bella and the gradual, careful way their relationship developed. Each moment, from quiet conversations to tense encounters, has shaped the bond between them. He feels the weight of every choice, every glance, and every act of restraint that has allowed their connection to grow safely. The family gathering at the Cullen house provides a calm, celebratory backdrop, contrasting with the tension that has defined so much of Edward's life. Observing the warmth and closeness of his family, he realizes how much their guidance has helped him maintain control and how those lessons have shaped his interactions with Bella. The ordinary comfort of home becomes a reminder of the extraordinary responsibility he carries. Edward notices Bella, standing among the others, confident in her place in his world. He reflects on her courage, her curiosity, and the trust she has shown despite the dangers she has unknowingly faced. Each interaction, each shared moment, has strengthened the bond between them, making it clear that their connection is both powerful and enduring. As the gathering continues, Edward contemplates the future. He understands that the challenges they face are of his nature, the dangers it brings, and the complexities of their growing relationship will not disappear. Yet, he also knows that the foundation they have built through patience, understanding, and care gives them the strength to face what comes next. The sense of inevitability he felt in earlier chapters now carries hope as well as responsibility. The epilogue closes with Edward fully aware of the path they have begun together. The story of their connection, shaped by restraint, fascination, and shared trust, has reached a moment of reflection and quiet triumph. The ordinary moments, the extraordinary feelings, and the choices made with care all converge to mark the beginning of a future defined by the bond they have forged. A bond that is unbreakable, deliberate, and profoundly theirs. This has been the summary of Midnight Sun, summarized by Cellwave Audio and narrated by Bill.